Hey, folks, welcome to the Accessible Pursuits podcast. I'm Greg Trainer along with my co host, Mike Hudson. And we got a really special guest down in South Carolina, Michael Edmonds, joining us today. But first, let's check in with Mike. Mike, what's happening down your way, buddy?
Oh man, we're absolutely enjoying this weather. We got a good change. You know how it is, man. These spring and summer storms are coming in a little bit, but so far so good. Decent weather. Lots of blooming. All the pollen seems to have washed out. So, man, we're just enjoying life, dude.
Man, talk about storms here in Pennsylvania. We had a terrible storm just the other night. Lots of people are still without power, like
Yeah,
30 hours later. Took some roofs off.
yeah.
Fortunately, we were really blessed and lucky here at home. I didn't lose power, but a lot of my friends still are without power, 20, 24, 30 hours later.
Oh yeah. We talked about that before in the past, man. Just the amount of crazy storms we've had this year. Everything seems to. And when we're having it, it just seems to be exacerbated in that everything we have, it's either more wind, more rain, between the hurricanes and all this craziness. I know it's signs of the time, but man, it's absolutely crazy. We had buddies yesterday I talked to in Texas. They had hail up to 5 inches.
Wow.
That
Wow.
that's the
Just,
size of a CD.
yep. Just the amount of damage that can do coming down
Oh
and,
my gosh.
to roofs, to vehicles, to all that. And
Right.
I definitely want to give a special shout out to the linemen out there here in PA. They're trying to get people's power back on, and those guys are working double shifts to ensure people are getting reconnected. So really
Yeah.
thankful to all the linemen here in Pennsylvania.
Yes, sir. Gotta get to the first responders, man. They're good to go.
That's right, brother. Well, Michael, it's nice that you're joining us on the podcast. We had you on our Accessible Hunter podcast before, but for the folks that don't know your story or may have not have listened to that podcast, you want to introduce yourself?
Absolutely. Hey, everybody, and thanks, Mike and Greg, for having me on today. It's always a pleasure speaking with you guys. And my name is Michael Edmonds. I've, I'm a South Carolina resident. Actually, today's my birthday. I turned 54 years old. Um, Grew up an avid outdoorsman. As soon as I could start tromping through the woods with my grandparents and my dad, I did. Followed along everything, fishing, hunting, pretty much anything I could get myself into. Um, Married to a beautiful lady. We've been married May 21st will be 27 years. I've got two good kids, two grandbabies. Um, 2013, I got up that morning, went to work, and the daily routine of the work site didn't go quite the way it was supposed to go. I was involved in a chemical accident on my job. I had to be airlifted to the Augusta, Georgia Burn Center. And once I got there, they placed me into a medical induced coma where I stayed 9 weeks. I'm very blessed to still be breathing.
Absolutely.
Um, I had four major skin graft surgeries from the burns from the chemicals. It burnt my mouth, throat, lungs. Um, my lungs were very critical. They thought within the next 3 to 4 days after the accident that I was not going to make it through the weekend.
Mhm.
But after four major skin graft surgeries and I got my lungs stable, they started waking me back up. And that's when I realized I could not see.
Wow.
And,
Mm.
Wow.
at 42 years old, being a huge outdoor person and being so independent all your life, never really having to ask for help.
Yeah.
That's a hard thing for any type of person to have to endure, you know,
Yes,
when you're
sir.
so independent. Um, I still struggle with a few things nowadays. One of them is, having to wait on somebody else's availability to do stuff,
Yeah.
transportation wise. Um,
Yeah.
that still bothers me. And the second thing that really bothered me was I went into thinking that this accident stole my manhood away from me because I was not going to be able to support my family the way I needed to.
Right.
And it's been 11 years since the accident. I got back into hunting in 2017. I've been pretty successful as a blind sportsman. Was actually able to shoot some doves last September. I shot about 95 times, but I hit 3. That's good.
well, brother, that's 2 more than I hit whenever I'm shooting at doves. Just so you know, I'm a terrible wing shooter. So you're getting 3. You're 2 up on me.
It was quite hysterical. You know, I go back and listen to the videos from when we were doing it. I try to video pretty much everything I do as far as outdoor stuff.
Right.
But
if you don't have pictures or videos, it didn't happen in today's social media setting.
absolutely, absolutely. But earlier last year, I got the bright idea that I wanted to go back to school, and I got with the South Carolina Commission of the Blind, and I got myself enrolled in college.
That's wonderful, Michael. And did you think about what school you wanted to go to? Was there options for you, or was there just like one option to go to?
There was I found 3 options for the field of study I'm going into. There were 2 in Greenville, South Carolina, but for me, I would have had to done like a 45-minute Uber ride there in the mornings and then back at night in the evening.
Oh, wow.
And there's just no way I could have afforded 2 Uber rides a day that far. I'd have been spending $200-300 in Uber, you know, for the week. But there was in Columbus, North Carolina, which is only like 12 to 15 minutes from where I live, there is Isothermal Community College. And I got enrolled there, and I'm studying massage therapy.
That's awesome, dude. Had backing up to the question that Greg was asking, did you work with anybody like Voc Rehab or any of that when going back to school? I'm curious as if they would help with, some of the transportation needs and whatnot. I know people with disabilities can sometimes get assistance through vocational rehab for anything as long as they're seeking that vocation. But man, that's exciting news, Michael. I know anything you do, man, you're gonna do great.
I did, like I said, I got with the Commission of the Blind here in South Carolina. Yeah. I have a VR counselor, and to be honest with you, I did not check on the transportation once I found out that isothermal was so close.
Sure, sure.
My wife just drives me up there. I do night classes. I go Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday night from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. So she drives me up there, drops me off, then she'll pick me back up afterwards. But I didn't even think to ask them about the transportation if I'd wanted to go to the Greenville schools.
Right. And Michael, they may provide assistance as far as gas cards, for your transportation cost, since your wife is driving you and acting as your driver. So that's a good point, Mike, that you brought up about vocational rehabilitation. Every state has an office of vocational rehabilitation. They may have different names, and the Bureau of Vision and Blindness, different states, they call it different things, but it's definitely something that people with disabilities need to be aware of, because it can be so helpful getting back to school with the eventual goal of self-support and going to work. Your program, Mike, well, I'm assuming that it's a lot of hands-on because it is, massage therapy, but as far as lectures and reading books and things like that, is there any type of assistive technology that the school's providing for you?
There is a lot of hands-on, and there is a lot of class time. And I ended up with 7 books, for the class. But the school and the publishers of the book were able to convert all of my books over into Word documents. So my JAWS screen reader would read them correctly. For
Yeah.
some
Right.
reason, JAWS and PDFs
Yeah.
are not very compatible. So even if they got it in a PDF, I still had to have it converted over into a Word document.
Yeah.
And then once let's just say we're doing chapter 27 right now, that's the lymphatic system. I can go to this one book, it's Principles and Practices. I can narrow it down to chapter 27, click enter on it, and do insert and the down arrow, and it puts it in continual read for me. So I can just sit there and listen to the chapter.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, technology's come a long way. Greg and I use some of that stuff through Audibles and different types of books, and then we have some hand dexterity issues. So we fully get that technology deal, man. But it's crazy sometimes the amount of hoops you got to jump to just to get the technology to actually work with the other technology. Yeah.
You're exactly right on that. I mean, it took me a couple weeks right at the beginning of school when I first started last May to get all my books converted over. We didn't really jump into a lot of book work right off the bat, so that gave me time to get everything converted over so I could follow along.
The reason I asked that, Michael, was when I was getting my master's in rehab, I did a internship with Pittsburgh group that served people with visual impairments and blindness, and JAWS was really a way for most of the clients to go back to school and read their books. And I'm sure it's come a long way in 20 years as far as technology, just voice to text that Mike and I use. And do you ever use your cell phone to record the classroom lectures, or how do you record your professor's lectures, or do you have a note taker that puts that into text document for you, or how do you work with classroom notes?
I have a device that's called a Victor Stream. It's a recorder. I can download MP3 files on it. I can take all kind of notes, and you just put it like a whatever size memory card you want on everything on. You put it in the device. I can even link it to the National Library Association and link it with what they call BARD. It's all kind of audio books and stuff like that. So I got quite a few notes on this recording.
You certainly became high tech. I don't know if in your previous life you were so technical oriented, but as a person with a disability, Mike and I can both attest to this. If you don't use technology to your advantage, you're missing out.
Absolutely. And no, I was not very computer literate before I lost my sight, or technology literate. Before I lost my sight, when I would type, I'd have to look at the keyboard and see what I was typing. Then I'd have to look back up and see if I typed it right. But I do pretty good typing now. I get my point across with what I have to say, and
Yeah.
you guys can both see, like my Facebook post. I do all of those myself, and I feel like I word things pretty good.
Yeah. You know, communication is one of the biggest things. And, you know, you think about it, Greg and I are in our 20 plus years of injury. And so back in the day, you know, you were typing on the computer. Me and Greg was still rapping on a typewriter. And, you know, we joke around about age and how fast it comes on us. But man, we live in a day and age now, Michael, where we've got social media and all this different stuff different technologies that allow us to really get vested in our lives. So, you know, this part of the Accessible Pursuit podcast is just about what we're doing today, raising awareness, people going back to school, voc rehab, technologies that are out there. I truly appreciate everything you're putting out for us, but man, I'm excited. So, how far along are you in the program?
The program started May of last year, and I graduate June 12th of this year.
Wow.
So
Wow.
I've only got 5 more weeks of school left.
Okay.
that's awesome. And what do you plan on doing with your degree, and what's the next step for the massage therapist?
My main goal is to eventually own my own business and be able to, run my business as a blind individual,
Yep.
and hopefully become very successful at it. There's other technology apps and stuff out there that are helping me with that. There's one called Massage Book. Excuse me. I'm able to create my own appointments, book my own appointments, do my soap notes after the appointments on the app and save them. When I create an appointment, it automatically sends a confirmation email with an intake form to the client. They fill the intake form out. I can go back and read it prior to them getting here. So I already know a little bit about their conditions and what's going on before they even get here.
Nice. Nice. So all of that stuff adds towards the formatting of being able to be your own business owner, run it the way you want to, being able to advocate, but at the same time push for all inclusion, that nothing is slowing you down as a business owner with a disability. I love
Correct.
it.
Correct.
Love it.
The a little bit about my class, if y'all don't mind.
Oh, no, we're full of some questions. I got some follow-ups for you too, Michael. So
Okay.
we're really interested in what you're doing, bud.
When I first started this class, I called the director of the school, and she was like, "We've never had a blind individual take this course." She said, "But I'm sure we can make everything, accommodate everything for you." So she got me in touch with the lady that's at the Spindale, North Carolina campus, this over accessibility accommodations. So me and her started talking, and then I got back with the director of the school and done my application, my registration, application to see if I got accepted. And at 53 years old, getting an email saying you're accepted into college, I mean, my nerves just went shot right then. I was like, oh no, what am I going to, am I going to be able to do this? Am I going to be able to keep up? And just all of these things started running through my mind. And both those ladies, the directors, Karen Marshall, accessibility accommodations dean is Alfreda Lindsay, and my VR counselor through the Commission of the Blind, Vanessa Cruel. With those three, we got all the application process done, got me enrolled in school, and then, excuse me, I got a phone call one day from who was going to be my instructor. Her name is Stacy Barrett. She gave me a call and she said, "I see you're enrolled in my class." And she said, I'm going to be very honored to have you in my class. And actually, this is her first year of teaching and first year of working for the school. And she was telling me, she said, "I'm very excited about having you in my class." She's been a massage therapist for 24 years.
That's wonderful that she would reach out to you and express that, Michael.
Yes, sir. She said when she got her massage license in Atlanta, Georgia, 24 years ago, the only criteria for being a massage therapist was you had to have a negative hepatitis test, and you had to pay the admission fee, and you could not be blind.
Wow.
Really?
And
so it actually listed being blind and didn't have anything in there about knowing muscle
correct.
movements. Wow. Wow.
But she said that has bothered her for so many years. And she was going to be honored to have me in her class, because now she was going to be able to teach me things that she knows from a hands-on perspective, and also I was going to be able to help her teach 11 other students how to be blind as a massage therapist.
Right.
Right. Right. What one of the questions that I wanted to ask you, Michael, was, I know that you've done a lot of, I guess, practice massages. You've had a lot of clients that you have to kind of do an internship or a practicum. I don't know what the proper term is, but how do they perceive you and your disability? Is it, a benefit that some people are shy and maybe that you can't see them? Is it a negative? People are apprehensive. How have you been received in the community with the people that you've been working with?
Every Tuesday night since the beginning of November, we do what we call clinicals.
Mm-hmm.
The school brings in 12 individuals, clients. We do a 6:30 1 hour massage and then an 8 o'clock 1 hour massage. So we split the class up into two groups. And everybody I've worked on, every client I've had during the clinicals, they haven't said anything to me as far as like being negative about me being a blind individual. I've got a lot of positive feedback and a lot of good reviews. And some of them, since a lot of them are repeats in the last several years, not
Right.
for me, but for the class.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them have actually been calling into the school and seeing if they can request me.
That's awesome. Awesome, Michael.
It's about raising that awareness, and you're a trendsetter. You're starting something new, not only at this college, but man, opening eyes to people that have been teaching it for a long time. I'm sure that it's a benefit. You hate to knock it that way, but I'm sure not having to use your visuals absolutely enhances your hand function in that you know where muscle groups are. You can feel the tension maybe a little bit better. But I would see it. My question would be, man, how much work have you had to do to get your hands ready for a 1 hour massage, man? That's a lot of work.
Well, the class started last May, and it wasn't long before we actually started getting on the tables and working on each other. So I've been doing hands-on stuff since like last June. Um, and plus, not only the class time that I have as hands-on and the clinical time on Tuesday nights, our instructor gave us a project for every massage we do outside of class. We get extra 10 points on our grade, and for every 10, that's an extra 100 for your grade average. And when she gave us that project, I set myself a goal number, and I just reached it last Saturday. I did 40 massages outside of class.
Wow. Wow. Michael, you had mentioned to me earlier when we were kind of talking about setting up the podcast about new glasses that you have that have been a benefit to you. Would you want to discuss a little bit your new glasses and how they work for you?
Yes, sir. They're actually the glasses I have on now. They're the Ray-Ban Meta glasses. I can be sitting like in class if I need to look at a diagram, or even here at the house if need to look at a diagram in my book. I can say, "Hey Meta, take picture and describe," and it will describe the diagram to me, or it'll read the page I'm currently on. I can do snapshot pictures. I can do videos. Um, I can just be sitting here right now and I can say, "Hey, Meta, describe what I'm looking at." And it will describe this whole room to me. And once it finishes, I can say more details and it'll add more stuff. And they're just a great addition to a visually impaired person, especially visually impaired and blind people who have never seen, to
Right.
be able to start understanding what's actually in their surroundings.
You just hit two things, man, that we can't know everything about every disability, right? And I've always liked being educated, and that's what this podcast are supposed to be doing, is just opening up sites, opening up empathetic dialogue. you hit the nail on the head with something just a minute ago I was going to have a question on, but you answered it. So the glasses actually help you with detail about everything you're seeing
Yes, sir.
in real time, which is phenomenal. But I got a question. This is kind of sideways a little. Um, Being somebody that saw before their accident and then losing sight after, if you had somebody that was visually impaired or blind from day one, um, and you were trying to describe something like the color red to somebody, and I'm asking for a personal um, growth. How do we go about doing that? That's not offensive and really knowledgeable because I to this day cannot understand how I'm going to describe something red to somebody that's never seen it.
That is a good question. Um, but since I lost my sight at 42,
Exactly.
I knew what red is and all the different shades of red. It's
Yeah.
it's a little difficult even for me
Yeah.
now as a blind person to describe something to somebody that's hasn't ever seen.
Never seen it.
Um,
Right.
Most people, even, and I'm gonna say even blind or visually impaired, of associate red with heat.
Yeah.
You
Very
know,
true.
everything that's hot can eventually be red. Um, so I'm not really sure how I would go about that, but
Yeah.
it is it is kind of cool for me to have had sight for as long as I did
Yeah. Yeah.
to have people ask me, well, what's describe this to me or describe that, or did you ever see this or did you ever see that? And I can say, yeah, I did. And this is what it looked like to me.
Yeah.
Michael, when you're talking about the glasses and their descriptions of things, how accurate are they? And do you recommend it as something for everyone that can afford? I mean, how expensive are the glasses and how accurate are they?
Oh, they're pretty accurate. Um, the first initial description made it will leave some stuff out, but then you say more detail.
Yeah.
Um, it will add three or four other things, and then you say more detail until you really find what you're trying to find, or you can say like yesterday, me and my wife went and had lunch, and I asked my glasses. I said, "Hey, Meta, take picture and read menu." And it started reading things on the menu. And when it finished, I said, "Hey, Meta, how much how much does the buffalo boneless chicken wing appetizer cost?" And it read it out to me and said it was $8.99. So it's just
Okay,
all on how you word the
sure.
questions you ask it. Just like your Siri or your Alexa apps at home, you know, it depends on how you word things. And they're for the price, I would tell anybody to go buy a pair of them because they're $300.
Okay. Okay.
Um, there's a few other devices out, glasses wise, um, that run $3,000 to $4,500.
And
Um,
if you think about it, I mean, Ray Bans themselves are probably almost $300. I mean, it's
Mhm.
been forever since I bought sunglasses, but I know Ray Bans are pretty stylish, and it's what I used to like to wear. And
yes.
they're a little bit pricey anyway, so 300 is not out of the question for everything you're getting.
No.
And here's a cool thing for people that's not visually impaired. If you want a pair of these to be able to get descriptions of stuff and do videos, like I videoed um, turkey hunting last Saturday,
Wow.
Okay.
and got to hear all the sounds and the turkeys gobbling. But the cool thing is, like for people that wear regular glasses, you can go to like lens crafters and you can actually have your prescription lenses put in these frames with the same
Okay.
technology.
So
Wow.
the camera itself is where at in the frame, Michael? In right
Um,
between the eyes and the
I think
lenses?
it's I think it's right here. I'm gonna turn the video. I'm gonna turn the video on, and you'll see a light right there.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, I got to turn them on first. Sorry, I didn't have them on. It'll take it just a minute to come on. But I think the camera is located right here in this corner.
There looks like something right there.
Yeah.
And so audible when it comes through, is it like through the arms of the glasses? Is it?
It is. It's like jawbone induction.
Okay.
Wow. So I was going to ask if it connected to like your earbuds in class,
Right.
so you wouldn't disturb people around you if it read it into your earbuds, but it's like jawbone, so it goes right through your skull, right into your hearing, huh?
Exactly, because I just when I just turned them on, they're Bluetoothable, so I'm now hearing y'all in my ear instead of through the phone.
Right.
So
That's
I'm gonna
awesome.
turn the video on, and you'll see the light right here on the right.
Yeah.
It's videoing now.
That's fantastic, man. Greg, that's one of those things I might have to check into just so I can be a little bit hands-free, to be able to take pictures and video. And so that would open up for people with hand dexterity issues, turn them on
Exactly.
and then give it an audible command. Man, I'm telling you, technology is becoming an amazing tool.
And not only would you send voice commands, not only being able to reach you on the right earpiece and turn them on, I'm going to turn them on vocally right now. Hey Meta, turn video on. They didn't quite pick up right there. I think it may be because we're on this Zoom call.
I'm sure, but it sounds like it works super good, and
Yeah.
definitely stylish. I mean, most of the time you talk about something that benefits people with disabilities, and it's large and looks out of place or what have you. At least when it first comes out, and heck, you're wearing Ray-Bans that I'm kind of jealous of. I wouldn't mind having a pair of those.
Well, I was always used to wearing more of the sport style glasses, the slim line with no frame under the lens. And when I went to these, it took me about a week to get used to the way they felt on my face and, being coming down lower on the cheekbone. So it took me a little while to get used to them.
I'm
So
laughing,
where would
Michael.
somebody go to get those? I'm sorry, Greg, I didn't mean to cut you off, man.
No, go ahead, brother.
But where would somebody go to get them, Mike? I assume you don't have to have a doctor's script or anything like that. You can order them yourself. But where did you get them, or where could somebody get them?
I got mine through lens crafters because my wife she uses lens crafters for her personal glasses. But you can get them from Amazon. You can get them from Best Buy. Other than that, I'm not really sure. And I think Best Buy has 2 or 3 versions, different styles, anywhere from $299 up to about $500.
Okay. Michael, how long does the battery charge on it last? What's that like for you?
For me, that's the only downfall of the glasses. To me, the battery doesn't last as long as I feel like it should, but it's not a big area to have a battery in. But a cool thing about them is, though, they come with a leather carrying case, and the leather carrying case has a battery pack in it, so you can plug the case up and charge it. And then when your glasses start getting low on battery, then you can take them off, fold them up, stick them in your case, and they charge.
Nice. I was laughing. I was thinking I grew up in the 80s. I'm a little bit older than you. I'll be 58. But the Risky Business movie, that's what got me into the Ray-Ban glasses. I don't know, Mike, did that do it for you when you were younger? Were you a Ray-Ban fan?
Dude, you know what? Those things have been around forever and a day. They're classic. You can't go wrong with them, and they're always phenomenal. But no, man, if we're going to Risky Business, it was definitely the Corvette. I mean, Porsche.
The Porsche.
Porsche.
There is no substitute, right, boys? There is no substitute. Well, Michael, we sure appreciate you being on the podcast today. And Mike, do you have any other follow-ups or anything that you'd like to ask?
You know, I would like to see how many other people with physical disabilities, visual disabilities are out there that are doing exactly what you're doing in a hands-on type field. I'm beyond proud of you, Michael. I mean, just to jump right back into it. But again, thank you for all the information that you provide. Thank you for your go-to attitude and never give up. It's always exciting, man, and I always appreciate hearing from you. But you've opened up some stuff I'm gonna have to research now just to see how many places are doing more of that type of learning.
One thing I'd like to add is um, during the class, I had to do a research paper,
Yeah.
and Mike, I reached out to you for some helpful input.
Okay.
I had to do a research paper on the research, and for my
Research.
research on the research. So I had to find some research on the topic I chose, and then I had to research. I had to kind of break down their research and their findings. Um,
Gotcha.
and my topic was the effects of massage
Mhm.
for paraplegics and quadriplegics.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I found out a lot of useful, very informative information. Um, for the ones that follow y'all's podcasts that are in wheelchairs, if you've never received a massage and you hurt a lot, check into getting a massage because the fascia in your body, it gets dried out, it gets stiff. That's what makes you hurt all the time. You could really benefit from like range of motion if your legs aren't fixed in a position to where you can't do much range of motion, but it's very beneficial for people in wheelchairs.
So if you
Absolutely.
were,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead. I
I,
was
I
going
was
to
just
say,
going to
so
say,
if you were recommending something like that for say a pair or quad that has never had it, I'm kind of ignorant to it. I've had a few massages like that. But would you go like a deep tissue? Is that something that you spend a lot more time just on range of motion, or is it solely moving that fascia around and getting those muscles relaxed?
I may would recommend starting out with what they call myofascial release.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, that gets the fascia loosened up and moisturized again, and it helps with the range of motion because my analogy of it is like an old ball glove. You know, if you don't if you don't work an old leather ball glove, it gets stiff and hard to work with. But after the fascia is loosened up good, then I may would go into some deeper tissue work and more advanced range of motion.
Michael, if people would like to learn more about you and on Facebook and see some of your videos that you're posting, how do they get a hold of you? What do they follow? What would be the best way to get in contact with you?
If they want to follow me on Facebook, I don't have anything for the massage yet, um, but I do have a page. It's called Blind Outdoor Adventures. I do a lot of my hunting and fishing videos on there. I do have a Facebook page for my massage. It's Hands of Vision. That's going to be the name of my business, Hands of Vision Massage.
Awesome.
Um, so could reach me that way.
Well, once again, Michael, we sure appreciate everything you're doing. You know, you're starting a path that others can follow behind you at that school, and we appreciate you coming on. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. We truly appreciate you, man, and we're excited to see all the new things you're going to open up and all the paths of people you're going to continue to bless. Thank you for all you do, buddy.
Yes, sir. It's going to be great to become a productive part of society again, and with the bonus of being able to help people.